I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man. Do you understand? Half of my life is unplanned.
In
Most of the
today,
time, I don't know.
as usual, I am always glad to have you. And if there are any first-time listeners, welcome. Just to let you know a little bit about what we do here at Husband, Father, Man, we are always here offering advice and tips and different perspectives to help others to better themselves in marriage, to better themselves as parents, and to better themselves as men and women. Even though the show is called Husband, Father, Man, you're going to get a man's perspective, but a lot of things you can still use for personal growth. So don't think that counts you out. If you are a woman, you are welcome as well because there's enough for everyone to go around. Okay, so thank you for tuning in today. So I know today I promised, like a scout. I gave my whatever the scout symbol is. I gave that today to say that I am going to give everyone the 4 words that will change your life as a parent and put things in perspective. 4 words that will forever change things for you and your children. And before I get to that, I'm going to go old school here on you. For those of you who are 40 plus and things like that, you probably caught the tail end of this and grew up in that generation as I did back in the 70s, where our parents, they meant what they said, and how does it go? Say what you mean and mean what you say. And that's what they did. And so this is not something new. This is just something that has been taken out of the picture, so to speak, with this culture, with everything being so sensitive and you can't say anything. Oh, that'll hurt the children's feelings and all of these other things. Why they're being coddled now, but it's going to create chaos later. And so my mindset is I would rather deal with my children head on and deal with the struggles and them whining and crying and not wanting to do what they need to do, and then grow up to be balanced people and then realize daddy was right, instead of letting them slide and being afraid to teach them because of the cancel culture. And then they grow up unable to fend for themselves. And then what's going to happen? We're going to be taking care of grown adults. You see this happening all over the place, where grown men and women are acting as though their parents are still supposed to take care of them. But that's why we need to go old school on certain things. And so let me just set the tone. I remember years ago, I may have been maybe about 7 or 8. And you know how you go into the grocery store, at least in the black community. So some of these things may not travel to other cultures, but those in the black community, they're like, I'm with you. I understand exactly what you're saying. That happened to me several times, or I saw it happen to somebody else in the store. So we are familiar with the story I'm about to tell. And so I remember being in the grocery store, and, my mother would always tell us before we go in, look, don't you go in here asking for nothing. Don't you go in here grabbing nothing, because I'm going in here to get what I'm going to get, and then we are coming out. Well, you know how it went. You knew the drill, but still, you're like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But as children, we just couldn't help ourselves. You get in here and you see something. So it may have been a grocery store. It may have been back in the day we had grandpa pigeons. And so you may have been in there. And so you see toys, or you see candy, or cereal and things that you want. And so you already warned. But then you see something where you're like, you know what? I am willing to take a chance and go get this toy and take it up to my mother and looked like a really sad puppy and asked her for it. And so I remember it was a G.I. Joe man. And, I just loved G.I. Joe and Star Wars, and all of those things were out back then. And so I remember going over there, grabbing one of the G.I. Joe men. It may have been Snake Eyes. And so I'm like, oh, Snake Eyes. And she's got to get this for me. And so I grab it and I take it over to her. And so I'm thinking along the way, okay, look, let me prepare myself. This may not go the way I think it's going to go. The puppy dog eyes may not work today. And so I'm en route. And so I walk up and I find her, and she was looking at some clothes. And then I walk up and it's Mama. And she looked, and it's like, Mama, can I get this Snake Eyes? And I'm looking homeless. And she looks at me and she says, no, boy, go put that up. And then I still didn't take no for an answer. I was very resilient back then. And so it's like, oh, Mama, it's only $4 and all that. And it's like, really? When you say that, do you have $4? I didn't have $4. If it's only $4, why don't you buy it? But, I'm getting off track here. And so then she like, no, I told you when we came into the store not to touch anything. And then I shot back where it's like, well, why can't I get it? And then she said those 4 magical words, because I said so. Check and mate. Now, when I just said that, I know some of you who remember those days, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, yes, I was told that on more than one occasion. And now as a parent, you understand that. You understand why they used to say, because I said so. Nowadays, our children, they want to ask all these questions and do all of this talking and all of these other things. And so I've gotten to the point to where I've had to tell them that a few times. And I realized that needs to get back into my everyday vocabulary, because I find myself trying to be a different parent than my parents were. Some things you keep, and then some things you need to change up, because every generation is different. They think different, and there are just different things going on. And so I feel there needs to be balance of changing a few things, but holding on to other things that are timeless, to where these things need to be there forever. These transcend whatever generation you're in. And so I've gotten to that point where I would try to just, show some grace. And when they would ask why sometime, figure that I would just like, okay, look, we're not going there because I'm tired or whatever it is. And but then they will get bolder on stuff, asking why, with an attitude and all these things, like not asking out of curiosity. I can kind of halfway go with that one sometimes, where it's like they're asking out of curiosity. But then other times I know they are flat out asking me why, like I owe them an explanation, or like, they don't see a good reason for me saying no. And so I've gotten in those situations, and then it's like, well, why you tell me I can't do this? And it's like instantly, that reaction and that flashback to when my mother used to tell me that, and that reality that goes with it, because I said so. And that's end of conversation, because the reality of it is I am the adult and you are the child, and I don't owe you an explanation. So therefore, when I, as the parent, say something, that's law. Word is born. That's old school there. It's law. It's done. I don't owe you any explanation. I am the authority in this house. I am the authority in this relationship. And children need to stay in their place. And that's a reality that we understood back in the day when we were little. We didn't like being told that, but we got it. Because when they told us, because I said so, not too many of us had a rebuttal. Unless you just really wanted to get bopped upside your head and get your butt whooped that night. You knew once because I said so came out, let me go sit down somewhere, because just the fact that she had to tell me that, she might have a flashback and decide to get me for something I did last week. So I just want to, you know what? I'm going to go sit down somewhere. Let me get out of her face, out of her sight, out of mind. And, and that's how it was. But this generation here, they don't understand that. And so that is my gift to the parents today, to bring their reality back into perspective, because contrary to popular belief with the culture, with coddling the children and don't say anything to hurt their feelings, we are creating monsters. We're creating monsters that we're going to have to deal with later. Because we are not teaching them how to be respectful. We're not teaching them how to be responsible, and we're not teaching them how to be accountable for their actions, and teach them that you can't always get what you want. Like the saying that there is one saying they have nowadays that's close to that: you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So that's close as I've seen to because I said so nowadays. But they need to have that understanding in their mindset, in their heart set, that that there is a relationship here between them and you are the authority, and it is not their job to question you. It is their job to listen and respect you and fall into line. Now, the culture doesn't teach that. The culture teaches them you are an individual and be yourself and all of this. Well, but how they an individual when they not buying their clothes? They're not buying their food. They don't have their own home. So the culture does not raise my children. The culture does not make the rules in my house. And so we need to let our children know just that. The culture don't run nothing up in here. If you want to listen to the culture, go live with the culture. Because we knew that back in the day when we got those instructions from our parents, we knew that, hey, if somebody outside of the house is telling us something contrary to the rules of our house, we already knew, I'm siding with mama. I'm siding with daddy. Because if I go against them, I got to live with them. I'm going to get in trouble, and no, thank you. We already knew those who was in our ear talking that smack, they wasn't going to come save us. They wasn't going to come get a whooping with us. So, we wasn't crazy. And so these kids nowadays, they need to be introduced to a lot of those things from the past, so they have that understanding that no, you're not an individual. No, you're not an individual in the sense that you and me are on the same level. You need to understand, I am your parent. I am not your friend. I am not your playmate. We are not equals. And you need to understand that. And so that's why I brought Because I Said So back to life in my household. And I encourage that you do the same, because those are some of the time-honored traditions of the past, to where they are simple and straight to the point, but they are just so profound with speaking volumes to what is going on right now. And so I hope you think about that. I hope you take heed to that, and I hope you add that back to your repertoire of things you are using to deal with your children and raise your children, that it may put them in a better place and give them that balance of how things should be versus what the culture says and the lies they are putting out there, so they can grow up and know right from wrong, and what a healthy relationship between parents and children should look like. And so that's all I have for today. Just wanted to get in there, throw something a little quick out there that you can take, put into action. And so If you enjoyed everything, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you share, and make sure you also subscribe and tell a friend, because if you find these things helpful and you get a new perspective out of them, I'm sure some of your other friends and family and coworkers can do the same. And just help me build up an audience here as I try to help in those areas, because we truly need to build stronger marriages and be stronger parents and be stronger individually, so we can have that personal growth and we can just be positive and well-rounded in all of those areas. Amen. I have to say amen to that myself. That was all right. I'm taking that advice myself. So you have a great day, and that's all I have. And I will see you next time and next episode on Husband, Father, Man.
Or maybe a text saying, could you pick the kids up from soccer? Grab some cake mix, and you know I only use Betty Crocker. Also grab some milk and some eggs, some